Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So update today is short but meaty. We're nearing the end of talk. And so this is the first release of FEVM. We're aiming to deliver this on Wallaby, which Patrick will talk about in a bit. Basically, this release will allow you to deploy smart contracts that are pretty constrained in what they can do, but they're an initial good departure place for everything that's coming. Things that you'll be able to do is deploy simple contracts that do not interact with other contracts. So that we still haven't implemented the addressing scheme. This is still a little bit in flux, but you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to invoke some of the precompiles as well, not all of them. But things like EC recover and some of the basic hashes, SHA-2, SHA-256, and SHA-3 should be KEKAK should be available as precompiles. We're working on introducing the rest of the precompiles as well. And yeah, we're right now, there's a big PR in built-in actors for the EVM actor. This also marks the deprecation of the incubation repo where the EVM runtime was being incubated. So that's FEVM EVM that would be archived once we finally merge this PR. Because remember, the EVM smart contract actor is actually going to be shipped as a built-in actor that users can instantiate to create smart contracts on the network. So the rest of the development will happen in the built-in actors repo itself. So if you want to follow it, it's happening under the next branch. And yeah, so this is we're working on merging this PR. Once that PR, and in parallel, we're also working and snaking it through to Lotus into the experimental M2 branch. So this is where the Wallaby train starts. Wallaby is tracking the experimental M2 branch. So as soon as that is merged, and we kind of like give the shout to Patrick, he'll go and reset Wallaby and deploy a new version that contains these new features. What's coming on the horizon is everything related to mapping the static context, so things like caller, origin, and things that don't really make a lot of sense in the Filecoin network, like block hash. But because in our case, they need to translate to a single hash that represents the entire tip set on which the message is executing. So things like Coinbase, for example, also don't make a lot of sense, but we need to map them regardless, so that smart contracts that are using those opcodes won't fail. These are things that are coming next. Finishing the precompiles work, working on the addressing bits, and a bunch of other things that are coming for the next release, which is Selenium. So that's basically my update for today. We're planning end of development by mid-November, more or less. Oh, okay. And from now up until then, we'll be delivering incremental releases as we build out the features. And this is specified in the incremental delivery plan. So let me just paste a link to that, which is unfolding as we go, right? So right now we're just wrapping up talk, and like the people are already working on Selenium, but we haven't like formalized that, just because things move so fast in the FEVM world, but work is already happening there. So really it's kind of like, we see a pattern of closing a release, and while it's being closed and the last things are being done to kind of like snake it through up until Lotus, the work on the next release is already starting. So it's not so much of a waterfall model. It's kind of like, it has a little bit of overlap. So we do expect to deliver each of these releases onto the Wallaby testnet. So this like technically would imply 10 resets of the testnet. There might be more, there might be less, depending on like sometimes, things like two releases will be compressed because it doesn't make sense to like, release something that is not very substantial, but that doesn't have user-facing features, but is substantial. It will apply best judgment there. So in some cases, there might actually be less releases. There might actually be more releases. I think we're probably lean towards less, because mobilizing a release and everything, and Patrick will talk about it as well, implies extra effort. So we'd rather spend that effort on actual engineering than in delivering features that might not make sense at some point.